Punch Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. How we doing, everybody? One more sleep, and the regular season for the Oilers is off and running. Or if you're listening to this in podcast form on Wednesday, tonight, finally the puck drops. Enough with this silly exhibition speculation. You know, exhibition season was no good for anybody. Got all of us on the podcast fighting with one another. Rob Brown and I have made up after the last show. We're good to go tonight. He and Jason Strudwick are standing by. We're coming at you from our Adrenaline Diesel studio. If you need a part manufactured, replicated, or repaired, Adrenaline Diesel has you covered with their brand new machine shop. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. And our show proudly presented by Play Alberta. Skate over to playalberta.ca and get in on odds, boosts, and player props. The other ways to make game time more interesting. They've got a bunch of them. Deposit today. You get a $50 free bet code. GYB10 is the bet code over at Play Alberta. That's GYB10 for a $50 free bet code. Visit playalberta.ca. Okay, let's bring the guys in. So, fellas, the NHL season actually got underway overseas a couple of days ago, but felt like it really got going tonight. 3 games on the schedule. Including Utah, the lid lifter in Utah. I'm not sure if you guys got to see any of this spectacle at all, Struds, but I don't know, man. Kind of a cool night. And how about the local kid, Dylan Guenther, scoring the first goal ever for the new franchise? I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, listen, I'm thrilled that Utah is no longer in Arizona. Like it hasn't worked for years. And, you know, I think Dylan Guenther is going to have a really strong year this year. And I'm not just saying that from now. I've said it to some other people. He had an incredible second half last year. And more importantly for him, he did it with his team was doing it with a fairly weak defensive core, and they've significantly bolstered that defensive core there in Utah. So I'm guessing, Brownie, as a forward, you like to look back and see Mikhail Sergachev instead of Jason Strudwick handcuffing pucks up to you every fourth shift.
Well, the back of my legs would feel better knowing that the puck would hit me in the stick instead of the back of the legs.
I love that.
But no, I like Utah. I like their team. I hope they have success there. And whenever a new franchise comes in, you want them to have some success so they keep the fans happy and the fans coming. I'm pretty sure, Struds, did you play in Salt Lake City? Against Salt Lake City? They were in the league. I played a number of times. Oh, yeah.
No?
Oh, I played there a lot, and they had good fan base. I don't think it was over the top, but it was a nice fan base, good place to live. It'll be interesting. I think this team is a team on the rise. They got a bunch of young, talented hockey players. They got good goaltending. To me, I think this is going to be a playoff team this year. So I didn't see the beginning of it. I have watched some of the game as we were waiting for Struds to get off the ice tonight for forever, it seemed like. But I have watched some of the game, and Utah looks good.
Yeah, so a big problem they had last season. They had a bunch of different problems, but the decor, right? Everybody knew the decor. It was rough out there. And now 3 of those players are Edmonton Oilers. So there you go. Stetcher and Dermott. And, now the Oilers have 3 of them. Anyway, it is what it is. And Josh Brown. We'll get into that. Guys, we're going to do a night of predictions. We'll talk a little bit about what I saw down at practice today and some of the news surrounding the team. There is some news to get to. But in our takeaways segment, we'll get to some rapid fire questions about the team this year, some predictions from you guys, some playoff picks and stuff like that. So should be a lot of fun. But for now, let's get to our breakdown brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. Their Ram Big Haul event is on now. Get 20% off MSRP on a 2023 Ram 1500 Classic. That's up to $14,000 in total discounts. See your Ram dealer for more details. As expected, guys, as we've talked about, Travis Dermott signs a contract, so he becomes the Oilers' seventh defenseman. Not a big surprise there. And then there was some cap juggling, and Evander Kane lands on LTIR, long-term injured. Basically, like we were trying to decode all of the stuff that happened today, Struds. Bottom line, all you need to know is that with the roster moves they made, the signing that they made, and calling up Lavoie, it basically allows them to put Kane on LTI at a time where they're as close to the cap as possible. And by doing that, it lets them maximize the amount that they can accrue between now and the trade deadline. So because of what they did today with Kane, and with the other players, if the Oilers play short on their roster below the cap, they can accrue as much space as possible. And we all know that's part of the strategy. But guys, Raphael Lavoie finds himself on waivers for the second time in 26, 30 hours or something like that. What did you guys think when you saw that, Brownie? He got picked up and then he got dropped.
Well, I think the way waivers work is players come out and you put in a claim, but you're not guaranteed the claim. And I don't know if the teams know, for Vegas example, I don't know if they know when they put in a claim if they're getting that player, because they got to see if other people are putting in claims and other teams that are lower in the standings. So Vegas put in for two guys. They got both of them. And then they decided, well, the guy they got from Calgary is better than the guy they got from Edmonton. The guy they got from Calgary, they gave him number 22, and he's going to play for them. And they said, all right, we don't need this other guy now. So it has not been a good couple days for Raphael Lavoie. He's been waived by two different teams. I would imagine the Oilers will try to pick him up again. And if no one else tries to claim him, then they can send him straight to the minors. So to me, it's a wake-up call for Raphael Lavoie. You know what? There's something else you need to add to your game, because two teams have said you're not good enough to play for us, and 31 other teams didn't want you.
Yeah. Obelus21 with a good comment here, Strud, says this was Vegas going hunting with only one moose tag, and they accidentally got two. I mean, they didn't know. They didn't know they were going to get both, and they ended up with both.
Yeah, I'm actually quite disappointed, because it tells me that the GMs aren't listening to our podcast, and Ryan Rishaug that this player should be picked up. So
I never said that. I didn't say that.
I'm disappointed, right? They
let misquoted on my own show.
The golden goose laying eggs. You know what? And I think you're right. And you know, just to me, it just kind of confirms where things are at with him, right? If he's not a top six, is he a bottom six? And that's the challenge. And listen, Raphael Lavoie is not the only person that struggles with this. You have to figure out where you fit and then find a position that works for you to get into the NHL. I feel like Raphael Lavoie likes scoring goals, and that's great. There's many places he could go and really score a lot of goals, but playing the NHL, that might not be his role. And I think that's the challenge for him, to identify that. And, you know, if the coach in Bakersfield, if he does get claimed by the Oilers, has a real hard conversation and say, man, you can play. Like, he can skate, he can do that stuff, but you got to hit and you got to forecheck and get on the puck. That is your job. That is what you need to do. And, you know, if it works out, great. If not, he can score in other leagues. And that's, like I said, Brownie, there's nothing wrong with that. But this, to me, I think he needs to hit him pretty hard between the eyes. This is where things are at.
Well, I agree. I think, as we said, two teams have waived him. And if he doesn't get claimed by anyone else, 30 other teams didn't want him. So it's not as though there's two good teams that said you're not good enough to be in our top six. There's 30 teams around the National Hockey League that didn't think so either. So it's a wake-up call.
I think you don't know the fit.
Yeah, and for the record, I do believe the Oilers will claim him tomorrow. My sense is the Oilers are going to claim him back tomorrow. And as you said, Brownie, if nobody else puts in a claim, then they can get him directly down to the American Hockey League right away. This is part of the problem. And I think when it comes to player development within this organization, this is something I'll point to. You guys tell me if you think I'm nuts. I think last year during the season in the AHL, you could have foreseen what Lavoie's situation was going to be for this upcoming year, trying to make the NHL, right? But he didn't do a lot of penalty killing. They didn't dedicate a lot of time and energy and effort to teaching him how to penalty kill. He played on the power play, right? He had that shot. He was a top six forward. He played on the power play. Well, I think the Oilers absolutely have to get him penalty killing this season. And I think they should have had him penalty killing regularly last year, understanding if this player is going to have a chance to develop to the next level, even though it doesn't make sense on this roster, even though there are other bottom six forwards who should probably have that quote unquote role, you got to develop the player. And I think they need to make sure they do that this year. And then maybe he's more well-rounded. But I don't think they committed to it last year, and I think they should this time around.
I don't see him being a penalty killer. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he moves well enough. You've got to be able to go laterally, fast. You have to think quick. There's nothing that I've seen in his game tells me that he could be a good penalty killer. He's a big, strong man. I play with a guy named Steve Malte in the minors. 50-goal year every year. And up at the National Hockey League level with you don't have as much time, he wasn't able to make that jump. And Lavoie, and it's funny, I keep seeing this thing, he's too good for the AHL, not good enough for the NHL. He's not too good for the AHL. He's what, a 25-goal scorer in the minors? Like, he's not too good for that league. He's an above-average American Hockey League player. That's about it. I don't see him as a penalty killer. I don't think you want to try to turn him into one because there's about 9 guys ahead of him up here in Edmonton before he would even get a chance. So, to me, I just don't see it. I don't think he skates well enough.
28 goals in 66 games last season. Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, did you watch any of the debut tonight, Struddy?
Yeah, I saw some, yeah. And I did. And, good for them. If you didn't see it, that goal and assist for those guys. One had a goal, one had the assist, Holloway. And they got decent minutes. Like, Holloway was up at 16, and I think that Broberg was over 20.
2023 for Broberg, 1601 for Holloway. Yeah.
And they got the win. So good start for them. Listen, these are fast, good players. Like I was never in the group that said, let them go. Right? They're going to be, the problem was the cost at $4 million. That makes it really hard for Broberg, and Holloway at $2.5 million. I guess they said, we'll figure something else out. But they are a good team, and St. Louis is a great town, man. I love that city. I've had lots of fun nights there. And not that they should be doing that, but if they are bored, they could have some good nights out in St. Louis.
That's great.
How did you go from the debut of Broberg to Holloway to your nights out in St. Louis?
Well, I used to hang out with Noodles there. Every time I go play there, we go hang out with Noodles. I had a lot of good times. I think it was mostly because I was with Noodles.
St. Louis is a great town, but what you see, they left for the money for one, but they also left for the opportunity. Broberg played top 4 minutes. Holloway played top 6 minutes. That's what they got. They got opportunity that Holloway was not getting. He wasn't getting top 9 minutes at Edmonton. So he went there, played 16 minutes a night, 20 for Broberg. Good for them. I hope they have wonderful careers and they're good kids that jumped that money and jumped that opportunity, and hopefully it works out for them.
Holloway would have gotten top 9 minutes here. He absolutely would have surpassed Jan.
Not a chance. No, he wouldn't have. They would have given him more money then. I don't think so. He would have been the fourth line guy until Evander King came back.
Completely could not disagree more. Look where he played in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, and then they went out and got 2 guys to play with Leon. And they announced what their third line was right at the very beginning when they signed them all. Holloway was going to be on the 4th line here. He knew that, and he left 100%.
Holloway was going to be a third liner that pushed Skinner for second line minutes.
Not a chance. No, he was going to be on the 4th line, and then he had to worry about Kane coming back.
He's gone, and we're still arguing about him, Strud. Brownie and I are just...
Oh, I like Holloway. I told you, I've said all along, Holloway would have been in my top 6 here. But I don't think the Edmonton Oilers felt the same way. Or they would have given him $2.2 million and let him stay.
Yeah. Struddy, care to speak on that at all?
No, I liked Holloway. I would have liked to see him, but once he got to that money, I just couldn't. You can't justify it, right? Especially when you could sign Skinner for 3.
Let's get to the Weiss Johnson soundbox. It's time for a new furnace because hockey season is here and the cold is coming. So garage heater, hot water tank, Weiss Johnson is here for all your home comfort needs. Specializing in servicing your existing systems or installing new ones, visit weiss-johnson.com today.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
So remember our speculation on Connor McDavid playing 5 exhibition games and why that might have been. He had a media availability today, and I asked him first why the number 5 and kind of how he landed on that number. He didn't love that question and probably liked the follow-up even less. just kind of suggesting that any suggestion that he wasn't comfortable with where he was at, or that he played more games because he wasn't feeling great, didn't love any of that. Here's the captain.
I don't really, I don't know. It's just I wanted to play. That was it. So I played.
When you come in, I imagine there's a certain way you want to get feeling before the regular season starts. What was that like after a shorter summer, maybe versus other ones where you have longer? Did it take a little longer to hit that slot?
I don't think me wanting to play was anything to do with how I was feeling or anything like that. It just was, I wanted to get into games and get into a routine and a rhythm, and that's all it was. It wasn't like I was feeling bad or anything. It was just wanting to play and get into games, and I like playing better than practicing. So.
Buying that, Brownie?
Well, I agree. I hated practice, so yeah, I'd rather play hockey games
Play
than
some
practice
games,
too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do believe him. I believe he'd rather play. He's a gamer, and he'd rather play, and it is way more fun. Struds and I'll tell you, in exhibition season, if you're not playing, you're getting bag skated. Now, Connor can skate a little faster. He probably doesn't tire as much as we do, but it's way more fun playing. So, Struds, I 100% agree with that.
You know, my kids love candy, and they want to have candy every day. And, I've got to be that old and say, hey, you know what? No candy. No more candy. And I eat it when they're not watching. Like I pound it at night when they go to bed. But I just think that someone had to say, Connor, I understand what you're saying, but we need you for the whole year to be fresh and not fatigued. You're playing 3 or 4 games. I know it's Connor McDavid. I get it. It's easy for me to say it here at night, but I think someone had to say that. I really do.
He was also asked, I'll give Spec credit because, look, this was the first time that we had talked to Connor McDavid since the whole Amazon series dropped, right? The first time. He's sick of it. Like, he lived it since it's come out. He's probably been getting texts and people talking and just nonstop, right? So I completely understand. But we had to ask him about it. It's the first time we've talked to him since the whole series dropped. So Spec went in there asking, and McDavid would just now McDavid did his best to kind of play along a little bit, but flat out he's done with all of this crap. Amazon last year, the finals, all of it. You could tell from the captain. And listen, when this scrum was over, we joked around with him a little bit and we had a laugh. Like, he wasn't trying to be an a-hole, but you could tell the captain had it.
It's about this year. You know, we've talked a lot about last year. A lot of questions about it, a lot of different things about last year. I've answered all of them, done everything, but we're moving on. It's about this year. It's about this group in here. There's definitely lessons that you learn, as you know, that we'll take from last year and remember this year. But you know, last year's over and done with, and we're starting a new year.
Now here's Gene giving it a try. Feel hectic for you.
Summer's over, and we're into the new year. Yeah.
Or is that over?
Summer's over also.
I guess.
Yeah.
Rob Tichkowski goes, "What'd you do yesterday?" And that's when he sort of laughed. So anyway, I mean, he's so done with this stuff, you guys, and it's Struddy. It's hard to blame him. Like, talk about all-encompassing this whole Amazon mess and just everything. Like, get the games going, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy to roll out game 1 and to talk about what happened, whether they win or lose tomorrow night against the Jets. But honestly, guys, I really think that Amazon Prime is going to do a lot of good things for Connor. It makes him human, and I think it's good for the game. So he understands it. Connor's, you know, he's historian of the game. He understands it, Brownie. And I think that he knows he had to do it. But I think it's very positive for his personal brand, if you want to use that, and the NHL's.
Oh, 100%. He understands that. But I think, that was soul crushing. Game 7 loss. And you can only answer it so many times where, okay, how'd you feel? How'd your summer go? Because it was short, but you didn't win. Like, enough. It's like, my focus is on winning the Stanley Cup this year. I do not want to relive what we went through last year. I mean, Zach Hyman talked about the fact he didn't want to watch the one episode. He lived it. Didn't need to see it again. So, I can understand exactly what he's saying. So, I think everybody in that Oilers organization and in the dressing room can't wait for tomorrow night. And then now it's solely about what we're doing this year. And there's no more questions about a Game 7 loss.
100%. Let's get to our DeBoer's YouTube poll. Brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center, helping you play better golf since 1999 with their TrackMan fitting bays, instruction, after-sales support, golf merchandise and clothing. Check out their Pro Style Shop or their Pro Shop Style Atmosphere, 5311 99th Street. Go see Scotty and TJ and Al. They got a great staff down there at DeBoer's, and they treat you like family. Zuby, hop on in here, buddy. We're going to be doing some predictions in the next segment. So with that in mind, we formulated tonight's question, buddy.
Yeah, so talking about Utah HC, the newly minted or transferred anyway team playing their first game tonight. So what we wanted to know is what the people in the stream thought the odds are of Utah making the playoffs this year. So the question is, do you think Utah HC will make the playoffs this year? The choices are definitely, maybe, probably not, and absolutely not. So we've split it a little bit further than yes, no, to give a little bit of people give their opinion on how close they might be or where they see them landing this inaugural season.
Good stuff. And we will get Brownie and Struddy's takes coming up in the next segment. That'll wrap up the breakdown. Brought to you by Alberta Ram Dealers. When we come back, we'll get into our season prognostications. We'll make some predictions about a few different aspects of the Oiler team, talk about where we see them finishing. Yeah, we hate this kind of stuff. We hate making prognostications, but it's what you got to do the day before the season starts. So we'll dig into that coming up next. You've got it locked on to Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolanddentistry.com.
Okay.
All right, time now for takeaways, brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. Get in the seat of a John Deere today. Horizon Ag and Turf has 0% financing for 84 months. Available on John Deere compact utility tractors, starting at only $276 a month. Stop by our local dealer today to try one out. You know what they say, nothing runs like a deer. Visit them online at horizonagturf.com. That's horizonagturf.com. Okay, there was a good comment. Sarah Coles, I don't know if you can bring that one in, says, did anybody here know that Connor McDavid is also a chef? Don't know if you guys have seen that commercial. One of Connor's sponsors at one of the banks, I can't remember which one, apologies, but they have him, he's looking pretty professional as a chef. Have either of you guys seen it yet?
No, I don't think so.
Haven't.
No, you haven't seen it?
I would imagine that anything that he tried, he would be pretty good at. So, but I haven't seen that.
There's a new promo out by the NHL too. It's awesome. I retweeted it today. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, go take a look. It's really cool. All the young stars in the game talking about their generation, you know, and all the issues with their generation and spoiled brats and this and that. And all of them jump in on it and make fun of themselves. And Sidney Crosby's involved. It's one of the better ads I've seen the NHL do, I would say. Hey, Brownie?
I saw that one. It was really good. It was funny. They did a really good job.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, guys, let's get to some predictions on this upcoming Oilers season. You know what we'll do? I'm going to ask you some questions about the Oilers first, and then we'll get some playoff predictions and stuff before we close out the segment. So just a few questions, a few thoughts that I had going into this season. I wanted to get your guys' opinion. So this, I think, has a lot to do with their start, this question. What place in the conference do you think that the Oilers will be at the turn of the new year? What I'm asking you here, guys, is what do you think the first half of the Oilers year is going to look like? Do you think they're going to get off and run in and be leading the conference and up near the top? Or do you maybe predict a little bit of a tougher opening few months before they hit that late season stride that they always do, Brownie? Can they go wire to wire up top, you think, or some rough month or two to get started?
I'll put them at second. You said at the beginning of the new year? Is that when you want it?
Yeah, the turn of the new year.
I'll say they'll be in second. I think one of the teams in the other division will be in first. I think there'll be about 4 or 5 teams that'll push for it. And I think the Oilers will be in second around the beginning of the new year.
Chinese New Year or North American?
You know what? Either or, Struds. You go with either or, buddy. Whatever.
Well, it makes a difference because I think we're going to have a huge first 2 weeks of January.
That's a good point. They are good in early January.
I'll go with North American just so we're clear. I don't want anyone coming after me later. You know what? I just think they're going to have a slow start. And I don't know if I'm still, a little bit gun shy from the start last year. Maybe the preseason, I think some of the changes. So I don't think they're first. And I don't think this group does things the easy way. I don't think they find the easy way. So no, I don't think they're first. I'd probably look to Dallas for that spot, although I don't love their D as much as I did last year down in Dallas.
Was that the team you were talking about, Brownie?
I did it's easier to say second than it is to say first. I don't know which team's going to be ahead of them. But.
Okay, good enough. Fair enough. What month will the Oilers make the trade and get their defenseman? What month is that going to happen in, guys?
When is the trade deadline?
March. Early March usually.
I'm going to say late February.
So you think they'll jump the gun a little, hey?
I think they'll jump the gun because they're going to find who they need, and they don't want to wait and have someone get them instead. So I think they may have to overpay in assets or whatever it is, but I think they'll do it a little bit earlier because I think they also will find out that what they've got isn't good enough. So they want to make sure they get the right one.
Yeah, I think I'm with Brownie. I think that makes sense. Late February. I don't think Cam Fowler is the right answer. So I know he's got a couple of years left on his deal, but that is, to me, not a solution, Cam Fowler.
By the way, if the Oilers go short on their roster as much as I think they might this year, I mean, if they plan this out properly, and if the team they make a trade with retains, like you could be looking at a guy who right this moment, makes $7, $8, $9 million on a cap somewhere. Like that is that's the quality of player they could potentially add if the other team retains and they accrue as much cap space as I think the plan currently is. It could be a pretty high-end player we're talking about here.
The problem with that, Shoggers, what do they got is capital.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't have a whole lot in the cupboard.
And who is the player? Like who is that D-man, right? And I feel like I've combed through the teams. Like I don't know. Ekholm seemed pretty obvious to me.
But there's a lot of players that are better than what the Oilers have. I just wonder, like, if you're going for someone that big, that good, what do the Oilers have to trade? I mean, they've run out of first-round draft picks. They got no young players in their system that excites anybody. Like, who are you going to give up? So, it's not like the Oilers. Some of these teams around the National Hockey League have like all these players stored up. We got this kid that's going to be good. He's going to be good. The Oilers don't. So they really don't have a lot of capital.
I think that Bo Aki, I think that they got the other guy, Sam O'Reilly. I think he.
Yep.
I
they
think
got their
they
26 first rounder as well.
Yeah, I think there's some interest there, Brownie. I think from what I saw from O'Reilly, I'd definitely be interested in him. Plus, he's a year further down the line.
You're right, but he's a 32nd pick overall. You're talking about you're going to be competing against other teams for a trade. So those other teams are going to have something. I mean, the Oilers really don't have a whole lot in their cupboard. So it's not like there's other teams that are going to have more.
Like Ekholm was a first rounder, and then what's his nuts there?
That prospect,
Big Red, and then
Reed Schaefer.
Yeah, Reed Schaefer. So I mean, you know, like, and no disrespect to Reed Schaefer, but I mean, he wasn't, you know, a top 10 pick either, right? So you're probably in that same area, right? But to me, it's the player. Like, who is the player? I'd love to, like, I've looked at Minnesota, I've looked at Chicago, like, I don't know.
Well, and we
People
know
talk
under
about
Ken Holland, Struds, they didn't like to do just that pure rental. Like if they were giving up a first round pick, they didn't necessarily love doing that. And I know they did last year, you know, in the Henrique deal. But that was the thing about the Ekholm trade, right? They relented and gave him the 2 first round pick value, but they've got a lot in return. So I'm not sure if you're just looking at potentially unrestricted guys, or if you know, you look at guys who maybe have a year or 2 left.
Yeah, I'm looking at anybody, right? And that's I just like, I think Ekholm was clear to me. Ekholm was clear. Like, this makes sense. This deal makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see the other one. And
having
and
said
I'm not
that,
saying that they're going to add a player of that. I'm not saying it's going to be a 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just saying if they accrue as much cap space as I think the plan is, and the other team retains, it could be. And maybe Emerson plays great this year, or maybe somebody steps up, or who knows, right? So maybe they end up getting another forward, or it'd be huge. But they can make that decision. That's the thing. The longer you wait, the more you can make a really acute pick. You know exactly what you need based on maybe who's injured, who's playing well, those sorts of things. So I agree with Brownie. I think if Emerson holds and it's not a train wreck, then I could see this pushing certainly into the new year and into February. Evan Bouchard, 18, 64 for 82 last season. Does he crack 90 points this year, and will he be a Norris Trophy finalist? Struds, the D-man, you can go first.
Oh, man. You know what? I think he's going to take another step forward defensively. Like, offensively, that's already a lot of points. So can he get to 90? I mean, his pace in the playoffs is incredible. Man. Okay, I'll get him. I'll keep him off the 90, but I'll say yes, he'll be in the Norris Trophy conversation.
So a finalist.
Okay, you said conversation. I say no to both. I don't think he'll get 90 points, and I think he's going to be in the 80s again. I don't think he'll be a finalist. And you mean final 3, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be in the final 3. I think that whether it's fair or not, the fact that he plays on the best power play in the world with Connor McDavid will take something away, as opposed to a Yossi or Hedman or Quinn Hughes or players of those ilk. So I think he's going to have a fantastic year, but I say no to both of them. Yeah,
I'm kind of a little more leaning towards Struds here in that I don't know that he'll get to 90 points, but I think part of that will be because of the changes and the defensive game that he focuses a little bit more on. This team is going to need Evan Bouchard to lean into that part of his game if they're going to have success, especially in the early going here. And I do think that the voting and the voters are smart enough to recognize a guy who picked up that part of his game, became more well-rounded, still got 80 points, and overall is a much better overall contributor wire to wire. So that's an optimistic projection for Bouchard's game, but I certainly think that he's capable of it. Skinner, a career .910 save percentage. Will he finish above that this season? His career .910 save percentage. I'll grab his numbers from last season for you quick.
Brownie?
I say no, because I don't think the defense in front of him is going to be as good. I think he'll have a good year, but I say he'll be below.
905 last season in the 59 games that he played, 914 the previous year, Struds.
Brownie, you've made some great comments on this pod, and that might have been the greatest one. And so I salute you. I'd bend the knee if I could. Because I actually think that Stuart Skinner is going to be a better version of himself. And not that he's been bad, but I think he's growing. He's still, what is he, 25, guys? Is he 25? And I think that he's going
25 years old.
Yeah, he's going to be a better, there's another level for him. And all the experience he's had, all the stuff he's gone through, both good and bad, it'll only help him this year. But I think that in front of him, it could be a little bit helter-skelter. So I'm with Brown. I think that I'd like to think he gets close to 910, but not necessarily through a fault of his own. Well, it will probably not make it there.
Yeah. I'm going to put him right at it. I think he gets there. I think he is going to make some improvements this year. I think he's not going to get dug into the same hole he got dug into last year. And I think he'll be more consistent wire to wire. So I'm going to put him right there at in and around 910. So might as well say yes, he'll just slightly eclipse it. Power play, 26.3%, fourth place last year, 32.4 a couple years ago. Which do you think is more likely to happen this year? Closer to the 32.4, like number one with a bullet. They were 6% ahead of anybody else that year. Or kind of top 5-ish again this year, Brownie?
I think they'll be number one this year. I don't know what number one is, what the percentage will be, but I believe they'll be number one.
Yeah. You really believe in Arvidsson, hey?
Well, their second unit is going to get about an average of 25 seconds a game. So, yes, they will pop a couple in themselves.
Just a little trolling. Struddy?
You know what, guys? I have zero interest in the power play. I think that it'll be it doesn't matter. We saw, you know what the difference was last year? And here, gather and lean into the speaker, everybody. The PK. The PK got an absolute fire, and that won them games that brought them momentum. So I'm looking for a PK that gets in the top 5. So last year was 15th. To get in the top 5, they got to get, north of probably 82, 83. So that's what I'm worried about. Don't worry about the PK or power play. They're going to score. Let's talk PK. That's where they got their energy, their zen.
You just rejected your host's question?
Well,
you just crumpled that question up and threw it at my face.
But so let's just be honest. If they're 32 or 26, does that really make a big difference? But
it'd be more goals.
If they're PK, I don't think it does. I don't think it really makes a big difference. So if you go in the PK from, what were they, 79? 79. I'm telling you. Did you not think the PK brought them energy last year, guys? I mean, that's...
Well, I said this during their winning streak, their 16-game winning streak. I said their penalty killing won them more games than their power play then. And in the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, their penalty killing, again, won them more games than their power play. 100% it did. I agree. Well, but our friend Ryan asked a question about the power play.
Thank you, Brownie. Thank you, Brownie.
That was pretty simple.
Oh, all of a sudden you guys are best friends now? You guys are just everyone's perfect honky-dory between you two guys, eh? I refuse to answer.
When somebody tries to create a mutiny on the show, we're going to band together and straighten you out a little bit, bud. How do you know the penalty kill wasn't my next question? And now you've tanked the next question and we're out of the flow now.
I can't get in that massive head of yours. I can only answer the question that's in front of me and then sidestep.
You didn't answer the question that was in front of you. That's exactly what you did not do.
I had an agenda tonight. I was driving home. I'm like, I'm going to talk about the PK. I don't care what he asks. I'm just going to answer the question I want to answer.
All right. Okay, Struddy, I guess choose your own adventure on this one too. I'm going to ask a question about Arvidsson, if that's okay. 26 goals, 59 points a couple seasons ago. It was a good year for him. Wasn't his career high, but it was a really good year and he was healthy. Brownie, do you think he can beat those totals this year with the Oilers? Even though it doesn't matter, do you think he can? 26 goals, 59 points.
No, because I don't think he'll get the power play time that he needs. I think he's going to have a good year. I'd love to see him get 25 goals, but it might be 20 even strength goals, 3 shorties, and 2 power play goals is what he's going to get. He just doesn't get the power play time. I mean, Nugent Hopkins only had 60-some points last year, and he's on the best power
points
play
last year.
Yeah, and he's on the best power play, so it's hard to see Arvidsson come close to that number without being on the Oilers' first power play unit. So I don't think he'll get those numbers, but I do believe Arvidsson's going to have a big year. I really do. I everything that we saw about him in the preseason was good, and I think he is certainly going to help this team, and he and Leon are going to have some chemistry. I just don't see 26 goals or 60 points being in his wheelhouse without playing power play time.
Oilers fans are going to love him. They're going to fall in love with this guy like they love Matthias Ekholm. So I think that he won't reach those totals because mostly he'll have to be 5-on-5. But he's going to be great beside Leon. So I got him over 40 points for sure, but underneath 67 points that Nuge got last year.
Who do you think? I mean, outside of the top few guys here, who, I mean, you can kind of book it that they're going to have a certain quality of season, right? The top end guys, it's just what they do. But of the players who were wondering what kind of year they're going to have, who do you think the 2 most important Oilers are? Struds, that they have to have really good years for this team. It would be huge for this team. Pick two players. You say if these two players who we're wondering about have huge years, it'll be massive for this team.
Well, I'll stick with skaters. I think I've been Adam Henrique fan club leader for about 3 years now. So they need him to they need him to be productive and to really hold down that third line, right? To really make sure that third line has an identity and plays the right way every night. And then the other guy is going to be Darnell Nurse. I think Darnell, I need to see him being physical, and making the pass and really supporting his line and his pairing partner, a D partner. So those are two guys, two veterans that I'm really looking forward to being strong in their roles this season.
Yeah, I agree with Nurse. They need a huge year out of Nurse. They got their number one pairing, and their number one pairing is fantastic. But then if Nurse has an off year, just think of the drop off they have. I mean, if he has an off year, then the next guy in line's got 30 NHL games in his career. Then you got a career number 6 guy or number 5 guy in Kulak. Then you have a bunch of 6-7s. They need Nurse to have a fantastic year. And the other one, I'm going to go with Skinner. And I do believe he's going to have a big year. But if there's any wobbles, Stuart Skinner. Yeah, sorry, I apologize. Stuart Skinner.
No.
If there's any wobbles there, Calvin Pickard. I mean, it was a nice story last year, but I just think Stuart Skinner's the guy that's got to get them to the Stanley Cup championship. So to me, if there's any wobbles there, and we saw, I don't think they have. Well, we had a Calvin Pickard in the minors last year. There's not one of those this year in case something goes wrong up at this level. And I think we saw that with Olivia Rodrigue in his exhibition game. So to me, it's Nurse and Skinner. If they both have big years, the other players are automatic. The Hymans, the McDavids, the Draisaitl's, those are gimmies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
These Nurse is a bit of a wild card with the ability to be very, very good. And Skinner just has to be Skinner. But we can't have any wobbles because then I think the Oilers could find themselves in a bit of a hole.
Quaddy had down Nurse and Stu, and I'll be honest, exactly the same two I had. Struddy, I appreciate you sticking with skaters, though, because Skinner, it's obvious, but I just think, man, if either one of those guys has a bad wobble for a period of time this year, it's pretty high stakes because of the overall ability to defend this year. So it's going to be fascinating. Two guys that a lot of this really, really swings on. We talked a little bit about this the other day, but let's just recap it. I want to have the 50-goal conversation. Brownie, you made the amazing proclamation that the Oilers are going to have 2 50-goal scorers this season, you believe. I just want to dig into that a little bit. So we saw Leon Draisaitl, right? A little bit of regression on the goal-scoring front, 55 to 52 to 41. So Struds, do you see Draisaitl getting back closer to that 50-goal mark, or do you think he'll kind of float in and around the high 30s, mid 40s, and that's fine? But what kind of year goal-scoring-wise do you see him having?
Yeah, I actually thought about that conversation after, and I don't think the Oilers will have a 50-goal scorer this year. I really don't. I think they're going to have just guys come and play well. Obviously, you get 30, maybe a 40-goal scorer, but I think for Hyman to hit that note again, that was a pretty high note, and to hold it for 2 years would be a pretty big task. So I honestly think they're going to kind of play like they did in the playoffs, right? Still get offense, but really be defensively sound, try to put teams, away both ways, like they did for those long stretches last year. So no, I don't think so. I don't think anyone gets to 50, guys.
I disagree because the Oilers are going to play a lot of games against teams that don't make the playoffs. And the Connors and the Leons are going to have field days against the Chicagos, the Anaheims, the San Joses. I think Connor McDavid is going to score 50, and I wouldn't put 60 out of reach for him. I think he got the 100 assists last year because he was trying to. I think you're going to see him shooting more this year. So I think he's going to score 50. And then if it was, I think either Leon or Hyman will get 50, but I think it'll probably be Leon. I think it will be. He's a better goal scorer than Zach Hyman. He's done it a few times. So to me, they're going to get 2. It'll be Connor for sure, and probably Leon. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. So I do agree fundamentally with you, Rob, that we'll see McDavid morph back into the player he was a couple of years ago, just in terms of that initial instinct to shoot. I think we'll see that shoot first mentality a little bit more this year than we did last year. It was notable last year We went from 64 goals to 32. The total was cut in half, and he had an amazing season, and the 100 assists was unreal. But I think Connor he just wants to win games and score a goal. There's nothing you can do to help your team more, just score goals. And I think we'll see him focus more on that. I'm not sure he's going to get to 50. I'm going to say that McDavid is the lone 50-goal scorer on the Oilers this year. I'm not 100% convinced of that, but I'm going to call him right in and around that 50-goal range. Okay, guys, quickly, what do we want to do here? Let's talk playoffs real quick. Do we want to just maybe you guys want to rip through who you have making the playoffs in the East and the West, and then we'll just talk about our conference finals and Stanley Cup finals. So, Struddy, do you want to go first out in the East, who you have making the playoffs this year? Muted there, bud.
I know. I was pushing some buttons and I pushed the wrong one. Okay. Let's go in the East. So you want me to go all 8 teams?
Yeah. Rip through them quick.
Teams. Okay.
Yeah, rip through them quick if you have them.
Okay.
And then we'll.
Yeah. No, I've got it. So Florida. Well, I'll go Toronto, Boston, Florida. And then I guess Tampa. There's no chance for Buffalo. And then I'll go Devils at the top. I had Devils up there. Carolina not making the playoffs. Pittsburgh. Yeah, Rangers.
Yeah.
Maybe Islanders. Then on the other side, this one's easy.
So you went with 9 then, is what you're doing? Going with 9 on that one?
No, I didn't go. I did 1 4 on each side, didn't I?
I wasn't counting. You're a smart ass, Brownie. I think I went 4.
Then Pacific Division, I got Oilers, Vegas, Vancouver, and then I'm going to pop Seattle in there. And on the other side,
interesting.
Dallas, Colorado, Nashville, and I think St. Louis. So
really? So you got Winnipeg missing?
Winnipeg out, and I have LA out, I believe, in the East West.
In the Pacific. Yeah. So you have the LA Kings missing. You got Winnipeg missing. That's interesting. Yeah. Did you have Nashville in? Stamkos and Marchessault? And
I think I have them in. Yeah.
Okay. Brownie, what do you got, buddy?
Oh, I'm a little more prepared because I actually wrote them down, unlike my friend Jason, who's just going.
I only did the top
website right now.
Sorry, I thought I just did the top of all 4. I did the top of all 4 divisions.
Yeah, fair enough, buddy. Fair enough.
Yeah,
that was good.
C- on your homework today.
No, that's fair. No, that's
in the East, I have the Devils, the Rangers, the Hurricanes, the Islanders, the Leafs, the Bruins, Tampa Bay, and Florida. I don't think there's any real surprises in the East. And then out west, Dallas, Colorado, Nashville, Utah, and Winnipeg. And then Edmonton, Vancouver, Vegas.
So only 3 teams from the Pacific making it.
Yep, I don't see Seattle making it. I don't think their goaltending is good enough.
Yeah. So you said Edmonton, Vancouver, and Vegas from the Pacific? Sorry?
Yep.
Right. So both the LA Kings. So the LA Kings miss.
I think the LA Kings losing Doughty for a long period of time. I think that's going to really hurt them too.
Yeah, no kidding, it will for sure.
And I'm not a fan of their coach. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they let them play instead of 1-3-1.
Yeah, so I know. It just.
Oh, they will.
Crazy.
I think that's done. I think that's done. Is it not? I think that you
so.
crumpled that up and threw it away. Yeah, They threw that one away like Struddy did a rapid fire question asked by his host.
Oh, I thought you meant a puck in his own end.
Yeah. So I got, and this is sort of in order of how I think they'll finish. Their seeding will be New York, Florida, Toronto, Carolina, New Jersey, Boston, the Islanders, and Tampa. So not a lot of change, right? Detroit, Philly, Ottawa, those sort of bubbling, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, don't have much change there. Then out west, Dallas, Edmonton, Vancouver, Colorado, Winnipeg, Vegas, Nashville, and the LA Kings. So I do have the Kings squeaking in. I think Quentin Byfield's going to have a really big year, and I think it'll be fun to watch. I've got him squeaking in, but you make a good point, Brownie. You got me second guessing that one a little bit.
Well, I'm a fan of Utah. I am. I think they've made some nice moves, and they got a nice, skilled young team. So you and I got, of the 16 teams, we have 15 the same. You picked LA, I picked Utah. But I mean, I honestly do though think that in the West, the last 1 or 2 spots, I think it'll be a whole bunch of teams at the end.
Mini.
I don't think there's going to be as much. I think Minnie's gonna have a fairly good team. I mean, I don't have Seattle in, but Seattle I think would be close. I don't have LA, and I think LA will be close. I think they'll be much more bunched up. Which, if that's the case, does that hurt chances of trades at the deadline if everyone still has an opportunity of being in at that point?
100%. So let's just do our conference finals and then Stanley Cup final and winner. So Brownie, you can go first with that, buddy.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm doing this under duress because I don't think you can pick these things without, because the teams are going to be different. Teams are going to be different
Totally
at the playoff
guessing.
time. Exactly, because if the Edmonton Oilers, if all of a sudden number 97 is injured in March, I'm not picking them. Okay, so this.
But you can also assume they're going to get their D-man, right? So you can make your pick knowing they're going to get their D-man.
True, but I'm doing this under duress. But under duress, I've got the Oilers and the Rangers in the finals.
Nice.
And I have the Oilers beating the Rangers in 6.
Love it. Struds?
Oh man, I've got Boston and the Oilers. I love Boston. Boston's D are huge. They are humongous. I saw them play. They are monsters back there, and I think Swayman obviously helps them. And I'll go with the Oilers in 6 as well.
Over the Boston Bruins. Nice. Brownie, you and I, buddy, we're like kinfolk tonight. Edmonton over the Rangers in the Stanley Cup final. So all three of us have the Oilers winning the Stanley Cup. I mean, they got the Game 7 last year. So, and many, many, many people out there are picking the Oilers. So I don't think that's much of a surprise. But I think the Dallas Stars are going to win the conference. But I think the Oilers, like during the regular season, but I think the Oilers are going to beat them in the playoffs. I think the Stars will have a slight edge wire to wire. Yep.
Well, what did the Rangers do in the offseason to make you believe in them after what you saw in the playoffs last year? Because to me, they looked very easy to play against. So what changed with the Rangers?
I think the other teams aren't as good. I don't think the Florida Panthers are as good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep, that's a fair point.
To me, that's what it is.
Schneider, Trouba, Keandre Miller, Fox. You know, their third pairing is a little bit thin. But Struds, I don't know. I feel like they've been nibbling around it. I think there's going to be some internal development there. Lafreniere, I think, is like ready to take a bit of another step in what he's been able to do. They got some other young guys that probably can take some steps. I don't know, man. I just like the way they play, and I agree with Brownie. I think their toughest competition won't necessarily be as good this year in Florida.
Yeah, maybe. I just saw a team that got pushed out of games at times, and makes me nervous, right? It makes me nervous. And I would love to see Rangers Oilers. I mean, I think that'd be great for the game.
I'd love to cover that series.
Yeah. Well,
hey, we could do the podcast from New York, can't we? That's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's
it's only in the budget to fly 2 hosts though. So I'll be deciding by playoff time which of the other hosts gets to come on the road.
I'm not going to start answering your questions just to get on your good books.
You're not going to, you know what, Struds? Even though you totally just tanked one of my questions tonight, you're still 40, 50 points ahead of Brownie this season already. So you're out to a smashing start, buddy. All right, that was Takeaways brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. Struds, you want to do a relentless player from the day today before we move on? Brought to you by You Can Use Services. If you're looking to hire entry-level staff for your company, You Can Use Services trains youth in pre-employment skills to get them ready, willing, and able to join your team. Check out www.ucan.ca for more information. Struds?
Yeah, digging deep for this one, but I caught a little bit of the St. Louis game, and Robert Thomas was just banging out the faceoffs. 19-7 he was today. Ooh. 26 faceoffs. Game 1. Hey, do you want to take some faceoffs? Sure. I'll take one every 2 minutes. And I'll see how it goes. So pretty impressive. 19-7. That's a pretty good night, Brownie, in the circle. I
love him as a hockey player. I think he's a fantastic player. My son and I just did a hockey draft 2 days ago, and I drafted him. So I think he's a talented player, and I know that you picked St. Louis to make the playoffs. They need a big season out of Thomas, and I think he's capable. I think he's a really good two-way player. So that was a good relentless player. Good one.
CK Pawn says Struddy can go too. Just sell some more shelves on Marketplace. Get going, Struddy. Get going. Get shit for sale, man. You You can be on the charter with Zuby and Brownie and I.
I'm gonna have to build something to sell it.
By the way, Brownie, it's pretty clear when Struds was supposed to be doing his playoff homework, he was instead digging through innocuous stats for a relentless player. That's what he spent all his time on tonight.
Oh no, I honestly thought it was just the top division leaders. So I haven't written down here. Boston Devils, Dallas Oilers. I didn't know we were going, doing AHL teams too.
It's too bad Schauger didn't send out a text that said, "Hey, pick all the playoff teams."
Yeah. Do we need to go back to the text and see what it said to see if
I misread it? I'll admit I've misread many texts. It's not a first, guys. I'm not going to act.
No, we know. We saw that when you went to the wrong restaurant a couple months ago. You read that one wrong too.
See, there it is. That gives me credit. That gives me street cred to what happened tonight. Yeah, no problem.
All right. When we come back, Brownie Points, Struddy's World. Ask us anything. Lots of show left. You got our Locked On and Got Your Back presented by Play Alberta. Nice job, Brownie. Great segment, bud.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
Time now for Brownie Points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky, the Alberta-based family-owned business, opened in 1962, and their beef jerky is fantastic. Highly recommend the sweet and spicy jerky that went to the International Space Station. Fast shipping anywhere in Alberta. Hop on to albertajerky.com to order yours and enter the code GOTYOURBACK for 10% off. When we were in Cold Lake over the summer, we stopped by, guys, and they set us all up, big couple of boxes of steaks. The steaks came out of the freezer today. Fired them up on the old Traeger. Oh, I don't think they send steaks out, but if you're in the Cold Lake area, definitely worth stopping by Hamel's. So they got a lot more than just beef jerky, but by all means, order some at albertajerky.com. Brownie.
I'm going to actually need more brownie points because I'm giving out a lot today. So I've got 260 brownie points to the Oilers fans because it is 260 days till Game 7, 2025. So that's how long the Oilers fans may have to wait if the Oilers get back to Game 7. So hopefully they'll end it earlier next year. 57.14 million brownie points to Dylan Gunter. The $57 million man only took 5 minutes to score the first goal in Utah hockey club history. So good for the local product. A young kid that Struds and I taught at NAX. He's not the $57 million player without Struds and I in his life. That's pretty obvious. I got my first minus of the day. That's minus 75 to my good friend Struds for making me miss my bedtime by having us start 75 minutes late today because you were teaching kids how to go off the glass and out. So minus 75 for Struds. I got 30.19 brownie points to the Oilers because that is the average age of the oldest team in the National Hockey League. The Edmonton Oilers, remember when they were all young kids, Leon and Connor and Nurse and all that? This is now the oldest team in the NHL at over 30 years of age. I've got one brownie point, one big one for Philip Broberg. Took him 81 games to score 2 goals for the Edmonton Oilers. Took him 1 game to score 1 goal for the St. Louis Blues. I wish the kid luck. And the last one, 30 brownie points for Ty Emberson. They are asking an awful lot of this kid here. He's got 30 career NHL games. He's playing for a Stanley Cup favorite, and they need him to be a number 4 defenseman and help out a guy who's just coming off a really off season in Darnell Nurse. So 30 big brownie points to Ty Emberson. Hopefully things work out for him.
That's great stuff. I actually asked Chris Knobloch today what he's thought of Ty Emberson, and I can't remember which word he used. And he admitted it's early and we'll see, but he said he's looked fantastic, or it was either excellent, something like that. But just in terms of how he's looked, acclimating himself in practice, in the games that he has played, he really likes what he sees so far. And I think we have seen him maintain that spot the entire time. He's been practicing with him the entire time. They're going to give him every opportunity to be a fit. Strud's, fair to say, maybe moves the puck better than Cody Ceci. Not as robust a defender, but different player than Ceci, but maybe has a chance to give him a little bit better puck-moving element than number 5 did.
Yeah, I think that I don't know that we saw the best of that from Emerson from preseason. Maybe in practice, we're seeing a lot more. I think he at times looked a little nervous to me. But that is a quality that I think that Darnell Nurse could use in a partner, a really nice puck-moving defenseman. And someone that wants the puck on his stick, and not that Darnell doesn't, but calls for it and, D to D up or whatever that is. So, Cody he was pretty decent the first passes. I think that for the size Cody was, I don't really feel that he was that physical. I would love to see more physicality from him, but that's just not in his spirit. So Emberson, I don't know how much we're giving up, because I think at times he can be quite physical as well. He's tried to be in San Jose kind of heavy hitter.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Brownie?
No, I agree. I mean, it would be huge if Emberson turns out to be that number 4 guy. Then the Oilers could look elsewhere to upgrade. I mean, that would be humongous. And even if he turns out to be a really good defenseman, you put him in your 3rd pairing and you get someone to take his spot, now you got Kulak and Emberson. So he's still a question mark. You got 30 NHL games. You're not established yet. But from what we've seen thus far, and he's got a track record. They know what he's done in the past. So I hope it works for the guy. I mean, what a golden opportunity, playing the top 4 for one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
Shane Matheson with a prediction. Emberson will lead the team in shot blocks. That's an interesting one. Shane Matheson in there with a prediction. Okay, good stuff. That was Brownie Points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Roll the tape, Zoo, because it's time for Struddy's World.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy. God, I look good.
All right, Struddy's brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products, where they got locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Whether you're a homeowner, a contractor, or builder, DLR is the most reliable source for vinyl fence. Opened in 2005, and they are not going anywhere. Unmatched service, high quality, North American-made products. Visit dlrvinylproducts.ca. Struddy, I don't want to tell you what to do on the show, because apparently I can't do that.
Sure.
If you don't mind, could you please do a Struddy's World? Please and thank you.
Yes, you got it. So I've had 3 massive moments of discovery in my life. 1, when I became a dad. 2, when I realized I was going bald. And now 3, when I had my first... Sorry.
When was that? You've been in denial since I've known you. When did that? Like last week.
So anyways, where was I? Becoming a dad.
Bald. You're going bald. You're going bald.
Don't get stuck on the being bald thing. I'm not even sure it's accurate. I don't think I might be wrong. And then 3, the first time I ever had the most delicious meal I've had in a long time, a Vietnamese soup dish consisting of broth, rice, noodles, herbs, and meat, and sometimes chicken. I think they call it pho. I had pho last week. 3 of my buddies took me out for pho. I'd never had it before, guys. I was going there blind. I was a virgin. I walked in there. The smells coming out of there were incredible. It just filled my nostrils with the most delicious smell. I sat down and had, I think it was chicken. I can't remember. But anyways, it was so good. A little bit of spicy. You know, you get a little sweat on the upper lip, some a little bit on your forehead. It was unbelievable. I can't believe for 49 years, I've never had the pho or the faux, whatever you want to call it. I remember people inviting me like, no faux for me. Guys, I'm not sure if you ever had it. It is so delicious. And I got a medium. I couldn't finish the medium. It was crazy. The bowl was so big, I could have taken my clothes off and sat in it and had it as a hot tub. That's how big it was. So faux, fum, whatever it's called, it is unbelievable. And I can't wait to go have it again. So thanks for my buddies taking me over there.
There's seriously something wrong with you. Seriously. My bald-headed father that eats pho now. Yeah, I have had pho. It's delicious. I have lost my hair as well, and I've had kids, so I've experienced everything that you did today, Struddy's World. I'm not sure I'd have those as my 3 life-changing moments, but
as the only one on the show with a full luscious head of hair still. I too am a dad, so I'm not looking forward to that realization, Struds, but I don't think it's coming for me. But I have not had pho. I have not had that experience. And now 2 things. I'm wondering if maybe we don't have a potential sponsor for the podcast, because I mean, next time you're in there, ask to talk to the manager. But yeah, that's definitely on my list now that you give it that level of endorsement.
I love burritos. Like I love burritos. I get burritos all the time.
Meat.
I would rather have the pho or the
I like burritos.
I'd rather have that than the burritos. That's how good it is. The faux, I'm not sure what you call it. It's incredible. It's so good, guys. I'm not kidding you. Go out and try it, Shogger.
Just Steve says, I'm in shock right now. Thank you, Struddy, for being vulnerable. We appreciate that, Struds.
What's the shocking revelation? I didn't have the faux. I always get it wrong.
No, I mean, listen, I would say that there's been some denial on your part. Anytime anyone's kind of come at you with the forehead, the hair, I would say acceptance wouldn't be the stage that I would guess you've been in. Me too. I'm the same.
But a lot of my hair issues have been bad haircuts. Like I don't think I'm not. There's no I'm not almost bald. I slightly balding, but some bad haircuts. Not so much recently, but in past years.
They just do it blindfolded with a set of electric shears? Is that?
I don't know what to tell you guys. That's just the facts.
Well, what they did is he finished the faux, and then he turned the bowl upside down, put it on his head, and shaved around the outside.
That was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Okay, Brownie, on that note, bud, we're going to let you go.
See you guys later. I'm gonna remember this is before number 1 game. I'm winning 1-0 on the trip to New York for the finals.
Yeah, you got it.
For now.
For now. Okay.
We keep arguing like we have been so far. I'm not sure. The great Rob Brown. Okay, let's roll right into Ask Us Anything. We got lots of great activity going on the YouTube stream tonight, over on Twitter as well. It's brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. With recent news of the Bank of Canada lowering their rates, what a great time to revisit your mortgage options, and Maria can help you with that. From Maximal Mortgages, Maria Gallus. Take care of finding you the best rates and work with your best interests in mind. Give her a call or check her out online, mortgagesbymaria.ca. for all of your mortgage needs. Zuby, how are you tonight, buddy? You were off for a few days, but you are back now. You have a good trip?
We did. We had a nice trip. Weather was great. Went to Seattle. Saw that not a great outcome, and my Seahawks versus Struddy's Giants in the. But at least the game went to the wire, and the blocked field goal, and my daughter was disappointed that the Seahawks lost in her first game, seeing it live, and my son could care less. He was down in the concourse by then. It was too loud for him. So, but yeah, lots of fun, great weather, good trip, and made it back late last night, and here I am right back into it, ready to go.
Right on. Let's let her rip for 5 minutes or so here, and then we'll wrap her up.
Okay, here's a good question from Bobo Fett. We were doing predictions earlier. How about your prediction on the Oilers' record after 10 games? Can we get specific?
Okay, so that's Winnipeg, Chicago, Calgary, Philly, Predators, Stars, Hurricanes, Penguins, Red Wings, Blue Jackets. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have them at 500 after 10 games. Struds?
Man, it's not the strongest 10 teams, right? Obviously, there's some Chicago, Columbus in there is a little bit light.
Yeah.
So I've only have them at 500, but you know what? The problem is that we saw last year. I'll go 6-4. 6-4, slightly better than 500.
Okay. Quaddy wants to know, you guys touched on this, I think, a little bit in the last pod, but he wants to know how many games, he says but I think he means how many games will Noah Philp play with the Oilers this year, a prediction.
I'm going to say that he comes up and stays in early February. So I think they're going to give him a few months, get his feet underneath him, and they're going to bring him up and potentially keep him up. Because that's one of those things where Struds, they're going to want to give him a month of play while they figure out, do we need a fourth line center at the deadline? Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to get a good runway before the deadline to prove he belongs. And so I could see him playing. So what would that be? February, March, April. So roughly 15, 16 games. So let's say 35.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I've said it before. I think he'll get called up to get his beak wet, send him back down, and then he comes back up. So that timeline makes sense. And I think more importantly, the number of games. I think, if you're going to think he's your fourth line center in the playoffs, you got to see him for 20, 30 games and put him in some situations that are a little bit of high pressure.
No. We were talking about, a couple things about who had the question about Skinner here. So I can't find it to bring it up, but somebody wants to know how many games for Stuart Skinner this year. We talked about the defense being a little bit depleted. Is it more of a gamble to go to Calvin Pickard? How many games do you think, how many starts for Stu Skinner this year?
Yep. Just let me grab his, while we're answering this, I will grab his numbers from last season. So he was 59 starts. 59 games played last season, 50 the year before. I could see him being like 62-ish, Strudge, somewhere in that range. More than last year, but definitely under 65, I think.
Are you talking starts?
Yeah, like nights out.
Like you think he'll get 62 starts?
Yeah, high 50s, I guess. Somewhere in there.
I think I'd try to keep him around 55 again. Honestly, I think you got to manage, and this is not a reflection on him, the goalie, or anything like that. I'm trying to, manage the minutes for my guys here. If I'm Knobloch, so I do 55 starts.
Gomez predicted that. He said anything over 55 and Struddy blows his top. That comes to us from Gomez.
No, and I just feel that way. So that leaves 27 for Pickard.
Yeah. All right. What's next, Zuby?
Gomez also wondering, what about Pickard behind that D? Do you have concerns, or is it just full steam ahead with this pairing? Do you have concerns about Pickard's game with the D a little bit depleted?
Yeah, I mean, the D is, we all know the D, we'll see, it could be an issue. Calvin Pickard acquitted himself pretty well last year. It was a resurgent year for him. He found something, and they're just betting that he's going to come back and still have whatever he found last year. And I think he puts the work in. I'd be surprised if it wasn't there. So I think, there were times last year where Pickard's numbers over 5-6 game stretches were pretty damn good. And in fact, at times better than Skinner's. So I think he'll be fine, Strud, similar to Skinner. You?
I still can't believe they put him in for that game against Vancouver, right? Like, just think about that for a minute. Talk about, you want pressure? That's pressure. That's for a backup goalie. I'm not sure there's any more pressure than maybe an injury, right? An injury to your starter. So I think he is capable of getting it done. Yes, the D isn't maybe, there's more question marks surrounding this D this year than there was last year. But let's see how it goes. We, I don't know. Maybe we're surprised. Maybe Knobloch has pulled a few rabbits out of his hat in his short time with the Oilers. Can he do it this back end? Let's wait and see.
I like that comment from CK Pond. Got to win when Skinner's contract is still reasonable. Swayman changed the goalie market. And I think with Ottinger floating out there as well, we could see that pushed even further, Strud. So depending on the caliber of goaltending they get from Skinner, could end up being pretty expensive. Zuby, let's do 2 more, buddy, and then we got to get out of here.
Okay, Obelisk saying the PK is where they'll really notice the decline in the D. Do you think, do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Okay, so they lost Cece and Desharnais. Those 2 guys were pretty important because it was, Nurse and Cece, and then you got Ekholm and Desharnais. So they have to replace that. So who's going to get those minutes? Is it Bouchard? I think he's capable, but do you want him out there playing that many more minutes? They might have to. They might have no choice. That's why I think other guys, Emberson will obviously get a chance. I think you'll see Kulak get a chance. Does Stetcher get the chance? Smaller guy. I'm not sure he's my favorite choice for the PK. Just because of his size.
Yeah, there'll be regression from how dominant they were in the playoffs and late last season. Like, for sure, there'll be regression. Just can they be a top 12, 13 team on the penalty kill during the regular season? That'll be a lot tougher this year. So, but I don't think they're going to be able to get to where they were before.
And sticking with a question on the D, Alfern Ken says, this team will end up burning out Ek and Bush by the time playoffs begin. Do you think that's a concern at all when you look down at the bottom 4 of the 60?
Yeah, Struds, this is where we go right back to all of us having Darnell Nurse on our list of absolutely critical players for the Oilers this year. If Darnell Nurse is absolutely on his game, that guy can play 21, 22 minutes a night, no problem. Like he is an athletic beast. So if he's playing great, and he can play more than that if he needs to, the better Nurse plays, the less they're going to have to do exactly that, which is burn out those guys, Struds.
Well, do you know the timing of when he got the injury that he's recovered from this summer? Was it only in the playoffs? Was it the end of the year? Like, is that?
Yeah, I believe it was. I believe it was in the playoffs. Once the playoffs had already started.
So I think people remember those last stretch of games or whatever. Whenever he kind of fell off, and it's clear now. I think we know why. So a healthy Darnell Nurse. And I'd love to think you can just take the workhorse mentality. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play with whoever I am, and we're going to eat minutes. We're going to play hard against other teams' top lines or whatever, that the top players, top couple lines, and we're going to take pressure off the third pairing. And he's a leader. Like, I think people understand he's liked in that dressing room. He's a leader in that dressing room.
Oh yeah.
And I expect him to come back and have a strong year.
I'll add one more in here. Statue Boss Production says, is he recovered? All summer it was a problem, then magically healed in a few days of camp. I did ask Chris Knobloch that very question today. He said Darnell came in, has taken part in every single drill, which I can confirm. I've watched most of the practices, all the battle drills, right from day 1 of camp. He didn't miss a single drill. So I think this was taking extra precaution and making sure. What we're being told is that Nurse is good to go. Other than the fact that he's, doesn't have as many games under his belt as he might like in exhibition, that he is good to go and starting the season healthy. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. Zuby, got one more?
Well, let's wrap up the poll quickly on the stream here. Do you think Utah HC will make the playoffs this season? 52% sat on the fence and said maybe. But I still think that's leaning positive. 29% said probably not. I think that's where my vote would be. 11% said definitely, and only 6% saying absolutely not. It's an interesting roster. Very young. I mean, young, lots of skill there, lots of room to break out.
Did any of us have him in? I can't remember. Did any of us have him in, Zuby?
Brownie was leaning. I think Brownie was leaning in the maybe and above.
Tough division, though. You look at that division, it's tough.
Yeah, for sure.
And just one other thing quickly for Struddy to get the money to go to New York. CK Pond noting custom locally made would earn more money. Struddy, people talking about your knitting skills. We need to maybe you knit the rally scarf. I think the rally scarf, that needs to be more of an auction, but you could start knitting even hand knit coasters, Struddy's coasters, or Struddy's wood savers, Struddy's savers. We'll work out the name, but something. I think there's a place for you on Marketplace for some Struddy bespoke goods.
You got nothing but time, hey, Struds? Nothing but time to work on this
jam
stuff.
Jam that in, the woodworking, work carving, all over the place. Yeah.
All right, time now for our play of the day, brought to you by Gallery Dental. From air polisher cleanings to advanced treatments, Gallery Dental offers a full range of services designed to keep your smile healthy and beautiful. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. Struddy, what do you got, bud?
Yeah, pretty awesome night in Seattle. Jessica Campbell, the first female to coach an NHL game. So congratulations to her. Her and Dan Biesman had a relationship, or not really. They were
back in the American Hockey League. She worked. She worked with him back there in the American.
So that's where that relationship started. And then she came up when he came up, and there she is. Breakthrough moment for females in hockey. First female.
Absolutely. Started as a power skating coach in the Kelowna area, Struds. Went to Sweden, went to Germany, became the first female ever to coach in the men's worlds as an assistant coach with Germany. Then after that, she landed in the American Hockey League. Dan Bielsma, she worked with him there. And then when Bielsma got the job, brought her along. So that is a fantastic moment. Really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
And we love it. So congratulations to her. Awesome. Maybe one day we can have her on the pod. Maybe when they're in town or something like that. We'd love to talk to her about her journey. That's going to wrap it up. Struds, I mean, epic Struddy's World tonight, buddy. The rest was a little messy, but you totally redeemed yourself with Struddy's World.
Had to bring it. It's a night before the first game. I've been saving that one for about 10 days.
Love it. Thanks, Zuby. Great job, buddy. And thanks to all of you for joining us here on the live stream. Appreciate all your downloads and your support on the show, especially through preseason, right? We were all kind of faking it through preseason. We can all lean into it starting tomorrow. Post-game pod, game 1 after the Oilers and the Jets. So a late one tomorrow night, but looking forward to it. Have yourselves a fantastic finish to your night or Wednesday, and we'll talk real soon. Thanks again to Play Alberta, our title sponsors. This has been Got Your Back.